I'm Lila, a 35-year-old office manager from a small town in Ohio, where the cornfields stretch white and neighbors know your name. My life used to feel like a warm, steady rhythm: work, home, love, until it all unraveled. I'm living with my mom now, in a quiet condo that feels like a sanctuary, but getting here was a story of heartbreak, betrayal, and finding my way back to myself. Let me take you back to where it started, to the life I built with my husband, Henry, and how it all began to crumble. Henry and I were married for 9 years, and every moment with him felt like a gift. He was 6 years older, with a laugh that could light up a room and a heart so big it made you believe in goodness. We met at a friend's barbecue, where he spilled mustard on my favorite sundress and spent the rest of the night apologizing with that sheepish grin. I fell for him hard: his kindness, his quiet strength, the way he'd listen like every word I said mattered. But life wasn't always easy. Henry used to work for a big corporate firm in Columbus, crunching numbers and charming clients. His boss, though, was a different story: a tyrant who'd belittle him in meetings, pile on impossible deadlines, and spread rumors to keep him in check. It got so bad Henry started losing sleep, his eyes hollow from stress. He saw a psychiatrist, took a break, but the damage was done. He quit, and for a while, we lived on my salary alone. I worked at a logistics company, managing schedules and keeping the office humming. I loved my job, the order, the purpose, but it wasn't enough to cover all our dreams. Henry took 3 months to recover, slowly becoming himself again. His psychiatrist was thrilled with his progress, and I'd catch him humming in the kitchen, his old cheerful self peeking through. He found a new job at a small firm, making less than half his old salary but loving the work. It was in data analysis, his passion, and he'd come home with stories about his projects, his eyes bright again. We talked about kids, but with our finances tight and my mom's situation, we decided to wait. It was just the two of us, and that was enough until everything changed. My mom had been living alone since my dad passed when I was in middle school. She was fiercely independent, raising me with love and grit in our creaky old house, but a car accident left her paralyzed, needing a wheelchair to get around. Our family home, with its steep steps and narrow halls, wasn't built for that. Henry, without hesitation, said, "Let's bring her to live with us." I was floored by his kindness. My mom was too. She'd always seen Henry as a son, but this was something else. It meant building a new home, one she could navigate comfortably, and that's where Henry's grandfather came in. Henry's grandfather was a farmer, a man of few words, but deep generosity. He adored Henry, saw the good in him that his own family often overlooked. When he got sick, he started dividing his assets, and he gave us a beautiful plot of land just outside town, a 10-minute drive from Henry's parents' place. It was a gift that felt like a miracle, a sprawling piece of earth where we could build our future. But with Henry's new job and our tight budget, getting a mortgage was a battle. Banks hesitated because Henry hadn't been employed long enough, but we didn't give up. After months of rejections, we found a lender willing to take a chance on us. We designed a single-story home, perfect for my mom. White doorways, no steps, a sunny yard where she could read and sip coffee. The house had wooden beams, cypress floors, and a kitchen built just for my height. Every nail felt like a promise of a better life. We'd visit the construction site daily, watching our dream take shape. Henry would hold my hand, grinning, saying, "This is ours, Lila. For you, me, and your mom." But not everyone was happy for us. Henry's family, his mom and his sister, Megan, lived close by, and their resentment simmered. Megan, a part-time real estate agent with a sharp tongue, laughed when we told them my mom was moving in. "What? You're dragging her into your fancy new house?" she'd said, her words dripping with scorn. Henry's mom was worse, muttering that marrying someone like me, someone from a modest background, would only bring trouble. Henry brushed it off, saying his family showed him how not to be. He believed his grandfather gave us the land to build something good, something lasting. I clung to that hope, but deep down I knew trouble was brewing. The day we moved into our new home was supposed to be a celebration. The air smelt of fresh paint and cedar, and my mom's face lit up as she wheeled into her spacious room, sunlight pouring through the windows. Henry and I had spent weeks making everything perfect: slippers by the door, a ramp to the yard, a kitchenette in my mom's space so she could feel independent. We invited Henry's mom and Megan's family over, thinking it'd be a chance to share our joy. I should have known better. Megan and her husband rolled in late, no apology, tracking mud across my clean floors. Henry's mom barely looked at me, her lips tight as she scanned the house. Nice place, Megan said, smirking. Kinda smells like Grandpa's old barn, though. Don't need air fresheners, right? She ignored the slippers I offered, laughing when I suggested they keep the floors clean. Oh, Lila, relax. You can mop later. Her husband followed her lead, stomping around like they owned the place. I bit my tongue, trying to keep the peace, but my stomach churned. Then Henry's mom zeroed in on my mom's room. It was like a duplex, bright, open, with its own sink and counter for her tea kettle. "I'd take this room," she said, her voice sharp. "Why's she getting the best spot?" My mom, who'd been quietly sipping limonade, froze. Before I could respond, Henry's mom turned to her and said, "Bet you're glad you had that accident, who got you out of that dump you lived in and into this palace. Talk about luck." The words hit like a slap. My mom's face crumpled, her hands trembling in her lap. I felt rage bubbling up, hot and sharp, but Henry beat me to it. "What the hell did you just say?" he snapped, stepping between his mom and mine. His voice was low, steady, but his eyes blazed. "You don't get to talk like that. Not in our home. Not ever. Apologize now." Megan rolled her eyes, tossing her hair. "Wow, Henry, way to make us feel welcome. You built a house and suddenly you're king? This is Grandpa's land, you know. It's practically ours, too." Her husband nodded, smirking, like it was all a joke. Henry's mom piled on, pointing at me. "You're the problem, Lila. Always have been. My son stuck taking care of your crippled mom because of you. You're a curse." I was shaking, tears burning my eyes, but Henry didn't back down. "Enough," he said, his voice like steel. "You insulted my wife and her mom in our home. You think her accident was lucky? You call Lila a curse? You're the ones who should be ashamed. Get out." The room went silent. Megan and her mom glared. Their faces twisted with anger, but my mom spoke up, her voice soft but steady. "It's okay, Henry. I am here because of the accident, and this house is beautiful. Thank you for your kindness." Her words broke my heart. She was trying to smooth things over, taking the blame to keep the peace. Henry shook his head, his jaw tight. "No, Mom. You don't owe them anything. I'm sorry you had to hear that." Megan and her mom stormed out, throwing me dirty looks as they left. My mom teared up, apologizing for ruining the day, but Henry knelt beside her, squeezing her hand. "Your family," he said. "This is your home, too." That night, I lay awake, Henry's arm around me, feeling both grateful for him and sick with dread. His family lived just down the road, and I knew this wasn't the end of their venom. Life settled into a quiet rhythm after the housewarming. My mom started smiling more, tending to her little herb garden in the yard. Henry and I were finding our groove, stealing moments to dance in the kitchen or plan weekend movie nights. But one afternoon, while I was at work sorting through delivery schedules, my phone rang. It was my mom, her voice trembling. "Lila, it's Henry. He collapsed at work. You need to get to the hospital." My heart stopped. I grabbed my keys, told my boss I had to go, and drove to the hospital, clinging to the hope that Henry would be okay, cracking jokes like always. When I got there, the sight of him, tubes snaking from his arms, machines beeping, shattered me. The doctor's words were a blur. Brain tumor, critical condition, might not wake up. I sat by his bed, holding his hand, willing him to open his eyes. We were supposed to see a cheesy rom-com that weekend. How could this be happening? Despite my prayers, Henry slipped away that night. I couldn't even cry at first, just sat there, numb, like the world had stopped making sense. Then Megan and her mom showed up. I don't know who called them, but the second they walked in, the air turned sour. Megan's eyes were cold, her voice sharp. "What did you do to him, Lila? Poison him for the insurance money." Her mom nodded, her face twisted with contempt. Bad things always happen around you. You're a jinx. Their words cut deeper than I thought possible, but I was too broken to fight back. My mom arrived, wheeled in by a care driver, and when she saw Henry, she broke down. Her sobs pulled mine free, and we clung to each other, crying for the man who'd been our rock. Henry's mom scoffed. Stop the fake tears. You changed him, Leela. Made him turn against us. We're done with you. They left without another word, refusing to help with the funeral. The funeral director stepped in, guiding us through the plans, but when I told Henry's mom the details, she laughed bitterly. We're not coming. He chose you and your mom over us. Megan didn't show up, either. At the funeral, Henry's co-workers and friends filled the room, sharing stories of his kindness, his humor. Their tears showed how much he was loved, and it broke my heart all over again. But his family's absence? It felt like a final betrayal, proof of who they really were. I stood by his casket, whispering promises to keep his memory alive, even as the weight of his loss crushed me. Coming home from Henry's funeral felt like walking into a fog. My mom and I were drained, our eyes red from crying, our hearts heavy with loss. As we pulled into the driveway, I noticed a light glowing inside the house. Did we leave that on? I asked, frowning. My mom shook her head, confused. I thought we turned everything off. I brushed it off. Grief makes you forget things, right? But when I unlocked the door, the sound of the TV blaring stopped me cold. My mom grabbed my arm, her voice shaky. Leela, what's going on? We stepped inside, and my heart dropped. The living room was unrecognizable, our cozy couch, the coffee table Henry and I picked out gone. In their place were cheap, mismatched chairs and boxes stacked everywhere. Megan and her husband sat on one of the chairs, eating takeout like they lived there. I froze, my voice barely a whisper. What are you doing here? Megan looked up, smirking. Oh, Leela, you're back. Don't just barge in like that. This is our house now. We sold your stuff, so you should probably leave. My mom gasped, her hands gripping her wheelchair. I felt like I'd been punched. Sold our stuff? What are you talking about? Megan shrugged, casual as anything. A resale company came by. Got a good price for your furniture. Nice taste, by the way. We bought new stuff. Nobody wants things a dead person touched. Bad luck, you know. Her husband nodded, not even looking up from his phone. My mom's face went red, her voice trembling with rage. But she was too shocked to speak. I was shaking, torn between grief and fury. Those were our things, chosen with love, filled with memories of Henry. How could they do this? I demanded to know where our belongings were. Megan waved a hand toward some boxes in the corner. Packed up what was left. You don't have much, who? Minimalists or just broke? Her laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. I called the resale company right then, my hands shaking as I explained. They were stunned, promising to treat the items as stolen and return them. But standing in my own home, surrounded by strangers' furniture, I felt violated. This was the house Henry built for us, for my mom. Now it was tainted. That night, my mom and I sat in her room, the only space they hadn't touched. She looked at me, her eyes tired but fierce. What would Henry say, Leela, if he saw this? I closed my eyes, picturing his face. He'd always said some people, his family included, would never understand kindness, no matter how hard you tried. He'd tell us to walk away. I said, my voice breaking. He'd say they're not worth our fight. My mom nodded, squeezing my hand. Acting on impulse, I found an accessible apartment online and signed a lease the next day. The resale company held our furniture, and 3 days later, we moved out, leaving the house and Henry's family behind. It hurt, but I knew it was what he'd want. Leaving the house felt like losing Henry all over again, but it also felt like freedom. My mom and I settled into our new apartment, a cozy place with white doors and a balcony where she could read in the sun. Henry had taken out multiple life insurance policies, always joking, "When I'm gone, you and your mom will be set." His words, once a playful tease, became our lifeline. The policies paid out more than I'd expected, enough for us to live comfortably for years. And since I'd bought the house in my name, Henry's job history made him ineligible for the mortgage. I stopped paying the mortgage. Per our agreement, the bank would auction it off after 4 months. Those 4 months flew by, and soon my phone was blowing up with calls from Megan and her mom. I ignored them at first, their names lighting up my screen like a bad dream. But they were relentless, so I finally answered. Megan was screaming before I could speak. "The house is being sold." "What did you do?" Turns out they'd moved into the house after we left, thinking they could claim ET. But when the bank seized it, they were locked out, left scrambling. Megan admitted she'd quit her job, and her mom had sold their own house to cover gambling debts. Even the parking lot they'd inherited from Henry's grandfather, their main income, was gone, sold off years ago. Megan's mom chimed in, her voice desperate. "Leela, I'm sorry. Can we start over? Maybe lend us some money." I almost laughed. "You called me a jinx, said I ruined your son. We're done." "You made that clear." Megan exploded, shouting. "You devil. Give us the money." I hung up, my heart racing but steady. I'd spent months working with a lawyer to ensure the house was auctioned smoothly. It wasn't personal. It was practical. The sale went through, and the money, combined with Henry's insurance, gave us a fresh start. We found a new home, a luxurious condo in a secure building, with a big balcony where my mom could sip coffee and lose herself in her books. Henry had always wanted her to have a space like that, a place where she could feel free, not self-conscious. The condo was smaller than our old house, but every inch felt like us, safe, quiet, ours. The furniture we'd reclaimed filled the space, each piece a reminder of Henry's love. I could almost hear him saying, "Sie, Leela? Told you I'd take care of you." Meanwhile, Megan and her mom ended up in public housing, their lives unraveling. Neighbors complained about their late-night arguments, their reckless behavior, like hosting a barbecue on a tiny balcony, sparking safety concerns. Megan's husband left, unable to handle the chaos. The community was fed up, talking about eviction to restore peace. It was hard not to see the irony. Henry used to say, "What goes around comes around," and he was right. Their greed, their cruelty had caught up with them. As for me and my mom, we're building a life Henry would be proud of. The condo is our haven, a place where we can laugh, cry, and remember him without fear. I think of him every day, his smile, his courage, the way he stood up for us. Living well, surrounded by love and peace, is my way of honoring him. He gave us so much, and I'll carry his light forward, no matter what. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through grief, betrayal, and a hard-won peace. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every home we built, every memory we keep, tells a story of love, resilience, and starting over. Keep chasing your own light, and I'll meet you in the quiet moments where the heart finds its home.